Good evening. My name is Melissa Harris, and I am the Deputy Superintendent for the Division of Community Empowerment, Innovation, and Partnerships. Thank you for joining tonight's Town Hall to discuss the American Rescue Plan Act. President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act in 2021 into law on March 11th of this year. The law provides $1.9 trillion in COVID 19 relief, including allocations of roughly $125 billion for K through 12 education systems. DCSD is slated to receive just over $313 million to help address the impact of the COVID 19 pandemic on our students. The district is planning to utilize that funding to address several critical areas, including learning opportunity loss, academic regression, student engagement, and safe return to school. During tonight's town hall, you will learn more about this. We invite you to use the chat to provide input on how we should utilize this funding. Additionally, we encourage you to put your questions in the chat. Subject matter experts are on hand to monitor the chat and will respond to you there. I would now like to introduce our superintendent, Cheryl Watson Harris, and invite her to provide remarks and walk us through tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Mhm.
And thank you to all of our incredible DeKalb County School families, our staff, and everyone who has chosen to be in community with us this evening. We thank you for attending, and we hope that your summers are going well and that everyone in your space is safe and happy, and looking forward to a continued healthy and safe summer as we prepare for a new school year. I will share that my team, many that you will meet this evening, are well underway with our planning for the best school year ever. We learned so much this year, and we're really looking forward to putting all of our learning into an incredible year and setting all of our scholars on a pathway to their preferred future. We know that this past year, not only this past year, but this past year and a half, together we faced insurmountable challenges, largely due to the pandemic and to COVID-19. But with every twist and turn, I'm so proud that we were able to shift to virtual learning and to watch our scholars thrive. That's because of our ability to work together and to see this thing through. This evening, we are happy that you have joined us to give us input on the American Rescue Plan Act. We want you to know that your voice is extremely important and that we could not do this work without you. The American Rescue Plan Act is what we believe a once in a lifetime opportunity to accelerate learning and disrupt inequities on behalf of our brilliant scholars. We will be placing the American Rescue Plan Act application in the chat. So we hope that if you haven't had a chance to see it already, that you're able to go into the chat and take a look at the application and what's required of us. The application is also on our website, so don't feel if you don't have time today to check it in the chat or you want to focus on just the conversation. Please know that you can always go to our website and find a copy of the application. Please read it. And after our town hall this evening, please complete the CARES Act funding survey that we've made available. It's really important that we have your feedback, and we want to make sure that you have a chance to participate fully in the town hall. Although I see in the chat people already telling us exactly what they want us to focus on. But please make sure that you also complete the survey, and you can find the survey on our website. The survey will stay live until June 30th, 2021. So you have a little opportunity and a couple more days to really think about your recommendations and complete that in the survey on June 30th. I believe we're advancing the slides. Yes. So the objectives of our town hall this evening are to first explain CARES, or the ESSER Acts, and how it impacts the DeKalb County School District students, our DeKalb County School District employees, parents and guardians, and our community members. The second objective of this town hall this evening is to explore potential uses of funds to address learning opportunity loss and inequities and setting all of our students on a pathway to success. And then lastly, and most importantly, to receive your input on how we will use these funds. So again, our agenda is to provide an overview. Then we will turn it over to our staff to discuss priorities and then specific use of funds. I want to just acknowledge all of our senior leaders that are with us this evening. We have our chiefs and our deputies. You're going to hear from our chief academic officer, but we have our other chiefs and deputies here that will be monitoring your questions and ensuring that you receive an appropriate response. And we also have some other members of our team. Our regional superintendents are here to make sure that they can capture your hopes and dreams for the use of the funds and be able to provide real-time feedback to parents and schools within their catchment area. So now I'll just remind you again, please don't forget to put your questions and comments in the chat. And with that, again, I thank you for being in community with us. Thank you for offering your input and feedback. And I will turn it over to Ms. Shawn Thompson, who's going to discuss CARES Act funding in more detail. Thank you again.
Good evening. I am Shawn Thompson, the Director of Title I. In response to the economic outcome of COVID-19, Congress passed 3 bills that provides immediate and direct economic assistance to districts negatively impacted by the pandemic. The first, Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, known as CARES Act 1, was signed into law on March 27, 2020. These funds are specifically for coronavirus response activities such as planning and coordinated during long-term school closures, purchasing educational technology to support online learning for all students, and additional activities authorized in the law. The second, CARES Act 2, was signed into law on December 27, 2020. These additional funds are specifically for planning for the coordination activities that address learning opportunity loss, preparing schools for reopening, testing, repairing, upgrading projects to improve air quality in school buildings, and additional activities authorized in the law. And thirdly, the ARP Act, American Recovery Plan, was signed into law on March 11, 2021, to speed up the recovery from the economic and health effects of COVID-19 pandemic. CARES and the ARP Act's funding were calculated based on the Title I Part A formula. As a result, our district, DCSD, was allocated the following amounts. CARES Act 1, just over $35 million. CARES Act 2, just over $139 million. And for the ARP Act, just over $313 million. CARES Act 1 and 2 allowable use of funds can be found in the following categories. At-risk student populations, by supporting students with disabilities, English learners, migrant students, homeless students, low-income students, and children in foster care. With distant and remote learning, devices, hotspots, internet services, instructional packets and resources, and online learning platforms. For school meals, preparing, delivering meals, cost for meals not covered by USDA, hazard pay, and transportation costs. For mental and physical health, we have counseling, telehealth, school nursing, therapeutic services, wraparound support, and training. For supplemental learning, extended learning, schedule, remediation before and after school programs, additional pay for teachers and mentors. For facilities and equipment, there is deep cleaning for building and buses, PPE such as masks, gloves, and disinfectants, supplies, and hazard pay. For professional development, training for school leaders, teachers, and staff, and extended professional development days. For continuity of care, staff and services, we have restoring potential budget reduction and offsetting the need to further our school staff. The district used and is using these funds as outlined. Now let's talk about the application. The ARP funds are specifically for taking additional steps to safely reopen schools for in-person instruction and keep them open. Take appropriate measures to help schools in investing in mitigating strategies consistent with the CDC, address interrupted instruction, implement strategies to meet students' social, emotional, mental health, and academic needs, offer crucial summer after school and other extended learning and enrichment programs, support early childhood education, invest in staff capacity, avoid devastating layoffs, and ensure that all of our students, our bright scholars, have access to teachers, counselors, and other school personnel to support their needs as a result of the pandemic and the ongoing recession. Now, I pass the baton over to Ms. Stepney.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Good evening, stakeholders. I'm Stacy Stepney, Chief Academic Officer. Now that we have reviewed the purpose of CARES Act 1, CARES Act 2, and ARP, as well as the amount of funds that have been allocated to our district, we must take a deeper look and continue our conversation to establish our priorities, as well as how we will use the funds. To establish our priorities, we as a district must examine multiple data sources. Some of the data sources that we have examined include staff and student type data. Parents, you know this as MAP, or the measures of academic progress. So we can check where our students are 3 times throughout the year. Also looking at their grades, looking at attendance not only of staff, but also of students, looking at our discipline records, examining how involved were our students prior to COVID and then after COVID. So participation in extracurricular activities, very important data source. We were able to take these multiple data sources and identify 3 priority areas, which are as follows: learning loss, and I know you've heard our colleagues reference this as learning opportunity loss and academic regression, student engagement, and the safe return to school. So these are our established priorities. Now that we have established priorities, we must configure what are our categories? How will we use the funding? So we have identified 4 areas. The first area, we want to ensure that we are able to safely reopen schools based on guidance that we have received from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, making sure that our efforts are aligned to their recommendations. Category 2. And Category 2 is a stipulation of the application that a mandatory minimum of 20% of the funds must be used to address learning opportunity loss. The third category, to purchase interventions that are necessary to support our students who are significantly impacted by this learning opportunity loss. And then Category 4, spending the remaining funds in compliance with the law. It does allow us to spend funds in other categories, but we must be in compliance. So we have established the 4 categories. We will take a look at the very first category. So now Dr. Deborah Moore Sanders will join us.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you everyone for coming this evening. I would like to start by talking about our safe return to school and looking at our CDC recommendations that have been provided for us to safely open for the 2021-2022 school year. One of the things I want to share with everyone is that the district has been diligent in reviewing CDC guidelines. We have been diligent in watching what the trends are and looking to see what is it that we need to do in order for us to be successful. So what I want to share with you are the key CDC prevention strategies that we will be using to assist based upon the guidelines. So there are 5 to 6 of them. The first is the universal and correct use of masks. Physically distancing to the greatest extent possible. I know many of you have heard about the 6 feet apart, and then we moved to 3 feet apart. Now the recommendation is that we physically distance to the greatest extent possible. Hand washing and respiratory etiquette. And what that means is that we need to be like little children, washing our hands as significantly as we can, as often as we can. And then make sure that we're using good etiquette when we are sneezing and coughing and throwing those tissues away, not sneezing and coughing in open areas, but use your tissues or your elbows to throw your napkins away. Cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities is another key mitigating strategy. Contact tracing combined with isolation and quarantine. And contact tracing is one of those situations that if you come in contact with someone who is positive, we work diligently with the Board of Health to help identify those individuals so that they can provide the correct guidance for isolation and quarantine. And we base that guidance on the information that is obtained from the Department of Public Health. And then watching out for symptoms of COVID-19, especially if you have been around someone who is positive. That is one of the key strategies as well. And so if individuals are ill, the recommendation from the CDC is that you stay home. Please stay home. And then if you aren't feeling well, get tested and make sure you know what is the cause of your illness. And so what I would share with you right now is that getting vaccinated is now considered the most effective prevention strategy to reduce symptoms and to prevent the spread of COVID-19 within the population. What I want to share with you are some of the updates that we have made in collaboration with our guidance from the CDC, what we have done in collaboration with our medical providers. And I will share with you that many partners have met with us and given us guidance on how we should move forward with our information. So one of the things that the district has done is based upon what is happening in our county with the reduction in COVID cases, we are now recommending that a mask are strongly encouraged for staff and students, but it would not be required. Wearing masks will be optional for our staff and students, whether inside or outside of a building. We will also be providing all of our schools with personal protective equipment, what we call PPE, and it will be available in our schools for students and staff use. Our decision to allow masks was that we wanted to honor a parent choice in this. We know, as we are saying, that it is strongly encouraged. And we wanted to make sure that we are able to protect our students, but also protect our staff. We also want to make sure that we don't inadvertently punish anyone for wearing masks or not wearing masks, just to ensure, and we are asking for our public health, the public's help, to ensure that we can open safely in the schools. We will continue to monitor our cases and continue to watch the guidance of the CDC. And we will continue to monitor and make sure and keep an eye on our cases as they occur within our county. Other key CDC recommendations is that our students will be asked to wear masks when riding on school buses. Riding on our buses is very consistent with the recommendations that all persons should wear masks when utilizing any type of public transportation, and buses are considered one of those modes of transportation. We are also want to make everyone aware that as we begin to reopen schools, a recommendation from our CDC is that during the last year, we know that within our district, our students were virtual. And therefore, there may have been many children who did not get well checks because they were home with their parents. And so it is highly encouraged that parents get their well check visits for their students when they return to school, and also that parents check on what the regular vaccinations are for your child and get caught up on vaccines that may be missing from over the past year. And now I will turn it back over to Ms. Stephanie.
Now we will explore category 2 that has been identified, the mandatory 20% set aside to address learning opportunity loss. First, we must go back and see, what is the data telling us? And we want to be transparent and share with you our findings. When we examined kindergarten readiness and third grade readiness, we identified some data points that we want to lift for you tonight. Only 1/3 of our incoming kindergarten students demonstrate readiness in the area of early language and literacy. 40% understand basic math skills, such as identifying similarities and differences, problem solving, as well as shapes and spatial relationships. Now I want to move to third grade readiness. The last time we administered the comprehensive Georgia milestones was in 2019. We know that the data from 2020 and 2021, the students took it. However, as a district, we're using that information to gauge how much have the students learned, as well as to look at areas of need, the proficiency rates, and where can we close the gap. So we want to go back to 2019 data, third grade. What is it sharing with us? 36% of our third grade students were reading below grade level at the end of third grade. Please allow me to peel that back even further. When we say third grade students, we want to look at our subgroups. When we look at certain subgroups, we noticed that the data points yielded that there was also room for, of course, support of students. 69% of our students with disabilities in the third grade demonstrated partial mastery in the area of mathematics. Our English learners, 50%. Our Black males, 42%. Our Hispanic students, 37%. And so to all of our stakeholders, we want to just share that our plan must align with supporting our students, addressing what we are calling the academic regression. And these data points share that our strategies must align to assist the students, especially as we are preparing kindergarten students to begin their journey, our third grade students to continue, to ensure that they are reading and have the basic math skills necessary to be successful in any content area. So continuing with the mandatory 20% set aside, on the screen, you will see that there are 3 buckets. And so in response to the data, these are some general thoughts. 1 bucket, early literacy and numeracy intervention. What are some strategies that could possibly address early literacy and numeracy? Professional development of our teachers and leaders, having K-2 specific literacy and mathematics intervention plans, as well as examining the instructional resources that our students have access to at the current time. Being able to convene and allow teachers and parents, our stakeholders, to weigh in and say, are these the appropriate instructional resources specifically for our early learners right now? The second bucket, student recovery and transition. Student recovery and transition, this bucket is huge. This is where we would potentially have interventionists, personnel who specialize in reading and in math to ensure that our students are able to address the areas of improvement. Also having, and this is a mouthful, multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS specialists. Please allow me to break that down because that is surely a mouthful in its educational jargon. What we are saying here is that some of our students receive interventions, and we want to make sure that we have specialists who are available at the local school level to support. Is a child receiving the intervention? Is the intervention impactful? Is it working? Does the child need more, or is the child ready to continue? Also considering extending the learning time during the day. And that is something that we employed during the virtual time, where we had an extended learning time during the day to offer the additional support to the students. The third bucket, extended day. Extended day could be in the form of a credit recovery, tutoring, summer programming. Many of your children are participating with us this summer. So summer programming, not just to have fun, but have fun with a purpose, making sure it's intentional and that we are offering the students the opportunity to have more learning time to address the standards that perhaps need to be addressed. Saturday school, flexible learning. And so now we will move to area 3, and Dr. Moore Sanders will pick up with area 3.
Thank you, everyone. With area 3, we are looking at our data to determine what we have used in order for us to look at how we can also bring in other additional supports for our district. And so as we look at data, we looked at examining chronic absenteeism data, we looked at discipline data, we looked at intervention and wraparound support data. And what I will share with you in our first bucket, we are looking at that 19.3 of our students were chronically absent during 2018. 17.3 of our students were considered chronically absent in 2019. 23, as I'm looking at my slides, is a little small here. Glasses are fogging up, but at least 21.8% of our students with disabilities had the highest rate of absenteeism in 2019. And what we mean by chronic absenteeism is that we had students that missed at least 8 or more days within that particular school year. 12.8% of students with discipline issues were also during the pandemic, but they were higher rates in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So we did see a decrease during our pandemic because our students were home. 7.4, or a little close to 7,500 students received moderate to intensive interventions through what Ms. Stephanie mentioned, through our multi-tiered systems of support. 1.4% of our students received moderate to intensive intervention through our behavioral supports. And then we had 11,932 needs that were addressed this year through our social work department. And so what I want to share with you is that although we were within a pandemic, we were still providing services to our families and to our students. In terms of the services that were addressed in terms of needs, our social workers got the greatest number of referrals in the areas of attendance, in the areas of academics, looking at family-related issues where families were in need because of what was happening within their homes, and homelessness. And what I want to say about homelessness, it does not mean that many of our families did not have a shelter. It just means that many of our families, their current living situations actually changed that placed them in a category to be considered as homeless. So one of the things that we have done within our district, while we have even been in the pandemic, is we have addressed some of our needs, our social emotional needs. Primarily, we utilize through our multi-tier systems of support. There were interventions that were being provided to our children. We were looking at skills in the areas of social awareness, self-management. We looked at responsible decision-making. We looked at relationship skills and decision-making skills. But we also know that we needed to do more. We had interventions that were provided through some of our staff members, our counselors, our social workers, our psychologists, and our nurses. But we want to expand what it is that we are providing to our students. While we have begun the foundation, we want to strengthen our foundation by looking at more research-based materials in the areas of social emotional learning. We want to look at how we can utilize screeners more efficiently for our children and our adolescents so that we can identify their needs more readily. And we want to invest in a very robust progress monitoring tool so that we can evaluate what it is that we are doing and how well it is being effective for our families and our students. Within our mental health supports, while we have been in COVID and even before, some of our schools have been engaged and had services through some of our partners through telehealth. We are currently looking and expanding school-based clinics in our district. We also provided therapeutic services through outside providers that were in many of our schools. We've also looked at giving small group support. That was done by our internal staff. We are looking to strengthen mentoring and then bringing in more mental health professionals. I will share that our partners were still very strategic with us during the time of COVID, but are looking forward to connecting more with our families and our students once they come back. And then also within the district, we are looking to provide more professional development and training for our teachers, for our students, even for our families. We want to ensure that our district has the information on trauma-informed care. We are continuing to increase awareness around mental health because we know when our students come back, we know that we need to give them some time. We know everyone is going to need some time to readjust. I'm not going to call it a new normal. We will just be coming back under very unusual circumstances, and we are preparing to do that. We want to also invest in more resources to provide for our staff to address emotional well-being. Next slide. And now I will turn it over to Mr. Burbridge or Ms. Masana.
Thank you very much. I'm Chuck Burbridge. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and I'm here to kind of broaden the conversation. I've been monitoring the chats. You've heard a lot from Stacy and Deborah concerning the academic programs and initiatives that we have in place using these dollars to address mental and physical health, learning loss, opportunity loss, and our at-risk student populations, as well as professional development. Want to add that many comments have addressed the issue of air quality and HVAC. And as this slide tries to show with the facilities and equipment block, that HVAC is an eligible component of use of these funds, and we are contemplating using these funds for air quality improvements. We've also, you've probably noted over the past year that we've been using resources. These resources for school meal support, delivery meals, using our buses, and providing, continue to provide nutritious meals for students, even when we're not at the buildings. I've also seen comments related to bonuses, retention bonuses, hazard pay, things like that. All those are eligible for the use of CARES dollars, and we do have are anticipating using these dollars for those purposes. Finally, I know there's been comments about virtual learning and expanding and continued use of Chromebooks and hotspots and those things, and we are also allocating resources to those devices and expanding our technology capability. The one comment that I've seen several times that relates to music as being both therapeutic as well as the particular needs of music students for their learning opportunity losses. And so I think it's just generally, I'd like to say, and what this slide would like to convey is that the uses for these of these resources are quite broad. Obviously, we want to focus them on the highest needs and the needs of our students, and there are many needs. There's no doubt about that. And so from facilities to technology to professional development and staffing and food, these are all eligible uses for these funds, and we are contemplating addressing these needs. I believe with that, I'm going to pass the baton back to our superintendent, Cheryl Watson-Harris, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Burbridge, and thank you to all of our presenters for their explanation of our CARES Act and DeKalb County School District priorities and the parameters around the use of the funds. Thank you to our stakeholders for your very active participation in this town hall. I have enjoyed reading all of your comments. They raise what you see as priorities for us right now, and all of those will be taken into consideration. Just as closing, I would like to remind you of the timeline. In June 23rd through the 30th is our application and survey available to all stakeholders for input. So please, 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 in addition to what you've added in the chat, please take the survey so that we're able to really capture and quantify your desires for the use of the spending. On June 24th, that's today, we're hosting our town hall. And again, thank you to everyone who has participated, both our presenters and our stakeholders. The actual application is due to Godot, or the Georgia Department of Education, on July 9th. So all the work that we're doing right now is tracking towards the application of that's due on July 9th. So just a reminder that we want to make sure that we have your input via the survey. Also, if you came a little bit later to us, please know that the actual application, so you can see for yourself what we're required to complete and what information we're required to provide to the state. It was in our chat, and we're also posting it on our website. So please make sure that you have an opportunity to check out the actual application. Again, please take that survey. We want to hear your voice. And in conclusion, we just want to say thank you so much. We value all of your input and feedback. We know that we're better together, and we look forward to using these funds to do all of the things that we believe will provide the best educational experience for our students, the best environment and support for our staff, so that we can all realize our vision for the DeKalb County school graduate. Again, I thank everyone and have a wonderful evening and continue to enjoy your summer. I hope that your families and everyone are safe, and we look forward to the next opportunity we have to be in community.